There's a lot to digest and a lot of voices to be heard. Stick to the frequency that amplifies these voices, stories and reports that make the difference. This is Agidigbo News, 88.7 FM, the people's voice.
This is Kunle Amzat Studio, Agidigbo 88.7 FM. Welcome to News Around the World.
Good evening. Welcome to the news around the world on Agidigbo 88.7 FM Ibadan, the most listened to radio station. I am OLUWATOSIN, OLOGUN. First deadlines. Experts say drug abuse threatens health security in Nigeria. Analysts back state policing warns against abuse of power. King Charles becomes first monarch to increase tax bill as royal public funding to £100 million. Thousands seek way out as South Africa braces for anti-immigrant protest. Ecuador declares holiday after World Cup win over Germany. Now the details. Drug abuse remains a growing public health and security concern affecting individuals, families, and communities across Nigeria. Experts warn that what often begins as curiosity can quickly develop into addiction with devastating consequences for health, education, employment, and society. As the world marks the 2026 International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, this year's theme calls for stronger action through education, prevention, and sustained investment in community health. Agidigbo FM News correspondent Latifat Oladejo reports on the 2026 International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Here's the report.
In Nigeria, substance abuse is no longer just an isolated personal health crisis, but it has become a major public health, social and economic threat that tears at the fabrics of families and destabilizes community worldwide. As the world marks International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking, stakeholders are grappling with rapidly changing landscape. Traditional drug markets are being transformed by synthetic drug and internet-driven trafficking methods. Experts say addressing this crisis requires moving away from only punitive measures, and communities should embrace evidence-based prevention, empathy-driven rehabilitation, and cross-border cooperation. In commemoration of the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, a psychiatrist, Dr. Tunde Omoloye, gave his expert opinion on the causes of drug abuse and how to prevent it.
The best way to prevent it is to tell people about it so that people know about it and they avoid it from the beginning. So because when people start it, we don't know those who have addiction at the end of the day. So it's better to avoid taking drugs that are illicit. We call them illicit. Some are illicit, some of them are illicit, but of course they are drugs that cause addiction.
A resident doctor in psychiatry from the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba, Lagos, Dr. Elot Wokoro Suzanne, also spoke on this year's theme and the effects of drug abuse.
The individual mind is stable to be able to cope with stresses of life such as school stress, work stress, family problem without breaking down, and be able to recognize or know their strength and be able to use it to focus, remember, and be productive in their workplace. So treatment and rehabilitation services must also be accessible and evidence-based, recognizing that addiction is treatable health condition rather than moral failure.
Speaking with Agidigbo FM, Deputy Zonal Commander for Intelligence Zone 9 of the NDLEA, Mr. Akonde Olasumbo, highlighted the agency's strategy to combating drug abuse.
Some of them probably through peer pressures, through societal vices, societal. So we believe that by doing this, the numbers of people you see on the street taking hard drugs will reduce.
The International Day Against Drug Abuse also examines drug dependency, the emerging challenges of the digital age, and highlights human-centered responses to safeguard the future of our youth. Fighting drug abuse is a shared responsibility among relevant agencies and citizens by replacing judgment with support and misinformation with facts. Latifat Oladejo, Agidigbo FM News.
The chief scientist of the consultative group International Agricultural Research, Chief Scientist Sandra Mylag, has expressed its readiness to partner with the Oyo State government to identify challenges within agricultural value chains and develop science-driven, evidence-based solutions capable of attracting investment and accelerating agricultural growth in the states. Sandra Mylag made this known during a courtesy visit by the international agricultural experts, the Oyo State Governor, Engineer Sheyi Makinde, at his private residence in Ibadan, reaffirming the organization's commitment to supporting governments through innovative research, modern technologies, and strategic partnerships designed to boost agricultural productivity and enhance food security.
The processing industry to also help, to farmers to adopt better varieties, right? Because I think they are at the end, they have to have a very clear proposition of which types of varieties they need, which types of cocoa they need, what types of, yields they are willing to achieve. That helps also us, that pool from the processors help us to also us to work with the farmers to say how do we then enable the farmers to attend to that.
Also speaking, the Deputy Director General Research of the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, RITA, Dr. Bernard Van Lawe, said the institute has extensive expertise in cocoa and cassava development and is committed to supporting Oyo State agricultural transformation agenda.
That we agreed to develop plans together with the governor on how we can advance both value chains with benefits of our state. I wanted to add that.
The event was attended by the Executive Assistant to Governor Makinde on General Duties, Chief Bayo Lawa, and the delegation led by the Director General of the Oyo State Agribusiness Development Agency, OISADA, Dr. Debo Akonde, including the Chief Scientist of the Consultative Group on International Agriculture Research, Sandra Malek, and other officials of the organizations. The Speaker of the People's Parliament on Shokowa on Agidigbo FM, Honorable Shegun Ogungbayi, has supported the establishment of state policing, arguing that local knowledge is critical to tackling Nigeria's worsening insecurity, cautioning that state policing must be properly monitored to avoid the concentration of power. Speaking on the program today, Honorable Ogungbayi says state officials are better positioned to secure communities because they understand the terrain of their local areas.
So you will control the excessive use of government because police are not for politics. But when you put everything under them, and we say, well, if you see, can you say, why am I approve until 2027 election? Because most of them will use it to torment the opposition. Because we saw the skirmishes of what is happening. Federal government at the state because Nigeria's policy on security because my point were in the offering against 2027. That's what I will take. Now finally, you just spoke about come and integrate Amotekun to National Assembly. So Amotekun is bank come and integrate one into state policing. Why? Tefema dictate.
Honorable Ogungbayi also stressed the need to uphold local government's autonomy to prevent what he described as an aberration in governance structure, adding that security must remain a local affair with community participation. The chief imam of Agidigbo FM Central Mosque, has urged Muslims to shun envy towards their fellow brothers, sisters, and neighbors, noting that Muslims should instead be happy for others and be grateful for the blessings of Allah that Allah has bestowed on them. Speaking on behalf of the chief imam during today's Jumat sermon, Alhaji Omokende Salis spoke on the dangers of envy and its negative consequences, citing several examples to help the congregation understand its destructive effects.
Should stop we should desist from being envying our brothers or our sisters who is endowed by one of your friends or who is blessed among us. We should stop envying them. A good Muslim will never envy what Allah SWT has done in the life of another person. The Prophet said we should try to desist from being envious, because enviness usually destroy our good deed. So a good Muslim should desist from it. We shouldn't be one that we shouldn't find being envious of our brothers or our sisters.
Alhaji Salis therefore urged everyone to always thank Allah for His blessings, pray for one another, and live together in peace. Now it's time to link up with our United Kingdom studio for the foreign news.
News from Hamza Studio at Gidigbo FM. United Kingdom, I am Olushola Damilola. King Charles has become the first monarch to reveal his tax bill with figure that showed he paid £12.9 million in tax for year 2024-2025. The level of tax paid by the king places him among the top 100 UK taxpayers. The account also shows the king paid £11.7 million in tax for year 2023-2024, while Prince William paid £8.34 million for the same period. The change in publishing details of the King's personal tax comes after calls for greater transparency around royal finances following scandals surrounding Andrew Windsor. The publication of how much tax the King and Prince William voluntarily paid was a personal decision made by both men, according to their offices. Buckingham Palace described the move as increasing transparency and aimed to encourage wider understanding and accountability. While the new figures show the monarch paid the highest rate of tax, they do not give any detailed breakdown of how the tax was calculated. The number of people killed in two Venezuela earthquakes has jumped to 589, with 2,980 people injured. This comes as international rescue team joined the search for survivors, with 80 Swiss rescuers and a team of Mexican aid workers among those helping. The quake, with magnitude of 7.2 and 7.5, hit a minute apart, while the U.S. military also arrived in Venezuela to assist with coordinating aid efforts in the country. And that ends the news from Hamza Studio at Gidigbo FM, United Kingdom. I am Olushola Damilola.
We shall also be moving to our Maryland studio, United States, for more foreign news.
News from Kule Amzat Studio, Gidigbo FM, United States. I am OLUWATOSIN Sonia. Thousands of Malawian migrants lined up for processing at a temporary camp in the South African city of Durban this week, while hundreds of Zimbabweans slept on the pavement outside their consulate in Cape Town. Many are preparing to leave South Africa ahead of the nationwide anti-immigrant protest scheduled for next Tuesday, amid fears that the demonstrations could become violent. South Africa has experienced a wave of xenophobic protest and in some cases deadly attacks in recent weeks, forcing many nationals to flee their homes or communities. Anti-immigration groups have set to June 30 as the deadline for all undocumented migrants to leave the country. Several cities are preparing for possible unrest, even as the government has urged citizens not to take immigration enforcement into their own hands. Police have pledged a large-scale security deployment to maintain stability. President Cyril Ramaphosa stated on Thursday that the country's security forces were fully prepared to respond to any disturbances. March and March, the main organization behind the protest, has maintained that it is not encouraging violence. However, the group has also indicated that it will not accept responsibility for any incidents that may occur on June 30. And that has the news from Kule Hamzat Studio at Gidigbo FM, United States. I am OLUWATOSIN Sonia.
In the exciting world of sports, President Daniel Noboa has declared today a nationwide public holiday after Ecuador stunned Germany 2-1 to qualify for the knockout stage of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, shortly after Ecuador secured a historic victory over the four-time world champions at the New York, New Jersey Stadium, advancing beyond the group stage for only the second time in the country's history. In a post on X today, Noboa praised the players and coaching crew for overcoming criticism to deliver the result. Ecuador entered the Group E, clashing needing a victory after losing 1-0 to Ivory Coast and drawing 0-0 with Curacao in the opening two matches. Germany took the lead in the second minute through Loresane, but Nelson Angulo equalized in the ninth minute to restore parity, and Gonzalo Plata scored the winner in the 77th minute, helping Ecuador seal a famous victory and book a place in the last 16. The result marks only the second time Ecuador have progressed beyond the World Cup group stage, equaling their achievements at the 2006 tournament, as it also progressed to the knockout stage as one of the tournament's 8 best third-placed teams. To wrap up the news this evening, here's a recap of the headlines. Experts say drug abuse threatens health security in Nigeria. Analysts back state policing warns against abuse of power. King Charles becomes first monarch to increase tax bill as royal public funding to £100 million. Thousands seek way out as South Africa braces for anti-migrant immigrant protests. Ecuador declares holiday after World Cup win over Germany. And before we go this evening, here's a quick tip. You can't wear your old identity to work in your new one. Finally, we have come to the end of the news around the world on Agidigbo 88.7 FM Ibadan, the most listened to radio station. I am OLUWATOSIN OLOGUN. Thank you for listening. Good evening.
News is information, and information is power. At Agidigbo 88.7 FM, we bring the news from top to bottom.
The Oyo State Independent Electoral Commission (OISEC) has called for continuous collaboration.
We bring you reports from Oyo State.
The Oyo State House of Assembly has called for thorough investigation.
Southwest Nigeria and the rest of the world.
Has clarified that the body did not receive any cash support from international development.
Trust us to keep you informed every hour, every day.
Agidigbo 88.7 FM, the people's